You did everything right. You got the job, the house, the family. You followed the script, ticked every box, and climbed the ladder you were told to climb. And yet, you woke up today, or maybe it was last week, or even last year, and you realized you're miserable. Welcome to the biopic of the midlife crisis, that gut-wrenching moment you realize the life you so carefully built was actually for someone else. For many of us, the first 2 decades of adulthood are a performance. We put on a mask. We play a role. The responsible employee, the perfect parent, the successful spouse. We learn our lines, hit our marks, and collect the applause in the form of promotions, social approval, and a picture-perfect Instagram feed. We become so good at acting, we forget we're even wearing a costume. Then, one day, usually around our 40s or 50s, the mask starts to feel heavy. A crack appears. Maybe it's a small thing, a song on the radio that reminds you of a long-forgotten dream, or a comment from a friend that hits a little too close to home. Suddenly, you look in the mirror, and you don't recognize the person staring back. Who is that? That's not you. That's the character you've been playing for 20 years. And the realization is terrifying. You've spent half your life auditioning for a role you never even wanted. This isn't just about feeling bored. It's a profound sense of alienation from your own life. It's the feeling of being a stranger in your own home, a tourist in your own story. This moment of clarity, this falling of the mask, is the true beginning of the midlife crisis. It's not about buying a sports car or having an affair. Those are just frantic, clumsy attempts to feel something, anything, other than the suffocating emptiness of a life lived on autopilot. The real crisis is internal. It's the silent scream in the car on the way to a job you hate. It's the ache in your chest when you look at your family and wonder if you've been emotionally present for any of it. It's the crushing weight of realizing that the plan you followed so diligently has led you to a destination you never wanted to reach. You've achieved success by someone else's definition, and in the process, you've lost yourself. The applause from the outside world sounds hollow because the person they're clapping for isn't real. And now, the curtain has fallen, the theater is empty, and you're left alone on stage, wondering what the hell you're supposed to do next. This brings us to the second act of the midlife crisis, the terrifying freedom of starting over at 45. The old script is gone. The director has left the building. You're standing in the middle of an empty stage with no lines to say and no character to play. For the first time in decades, you are completely and utterly free. And it is absolutely petrifying. Freedom sounds wonderful, doesn't it? But when you've spent your entire adult life following a rigid plan, true freedom feels like falling without a safety net. The structures that once defined you, your career, your social status, your role in the family, now feel like a cage you've just escaped. But outside that cage is a vast, unknown wilderness. What now? What do you do when the path you've been on for 20 years disappears? The temptation is to immediately find a new plan, a new script. Maybe you'll go back to school, start a new business, move to a different country. We try to replace the old structure with a new one because the void is too uncomfortable to sit with. But this is the most critical juncture. Rushing into a new plan is just trading one mask for another. The real work of this second act is to resist the urge to do anything. It's about learning to tolerate the uncertainty. It's about sitting in the discomfort of not knowing. This period is a messy, chaotic, and often painful process of deconstruction. You have to dismantle the life you built, piece by piece, not necessarily by leaving your job or your family, but by questioning the beliefs and assumptions that underpinned it all. Why did I choose this career? What values was I trying to honor? Was I seeking security? Approval? Was I running from something? This is the point where you have to be brave enough to ask the hard questions and be patient enough to wait for the answers, which may not come for a very long time. It's scary because society doesn't have a roadmap for this. We celebrate the 20-year-old finding their path, but the 45-year-old who admits they're lost? That makes people nervous. But embracing this lostness is the only way to eventually find a path that is truly your own. This process of questioning and dismantling leads to one of the most profound and difficult stages of personal growth, the ego death. Your ego is the part of you that's attached to your identity, your accomplishments, your reputation. It's the voice in your head that says, I am a successful lawyer, or I am a great parent, or I am the person who always has it together. Your ego is the guardian of the mask, the keeper of the plan. And to find who you truly are, that ego has to die. This doesn't mean you become a bad lawyer or a bad parent. It means you let go of the attachment to that label as the source of your self-worth. It's about detaching from the person you think you should be. The shoulds are handed to us by our parents, our culture, our education. You should be more ambitious. You should be more practical. You should have been a doctor. These shoulds build a psychological prison, and the ego is the warden. Letting go of this is painful. It feels like a loss of self. You've spent your whole life building this identity, this resume, this list of achievements. To admit that it might not be who you really are feels like a failure. It's a death. But on the other side of that death is a rebirth. It is the moment you stop trying to impress an imaginary audience and start listening to the quiet voice within you, the voice you've been ignoring for decades. Who are you when you're not your job title? Who are you when you're not fulfilling a role for someone else? What do you actually enjoy? What makes you feel alive? The ego death is about letting go of the need for external validation and finding an internal center of gravity. It's shifting from, what do they think of me? To, what do I think of me? It's trading the desire to be impressive for the desire to be authentic. And in that space, once the noise of the ego subsides, you can finally begin to hear the whispers of your true self. And this is where the journey culminates, finding a purpose that isn't tied to your resume. For so long, our meaning and our value have been outsourced to our professional lives. When someone asks, who are you? We respond with our job title. Our entire sense of purpose is wrapped up in our productivity, our promotions, our salary. The midlife crisis reveals the bankruptcy of this approach. When your career is your only source of meaning, what happens when you lose your job or retire or simply realize you hate it? Your entire identity collapses. The ultimate goal of navigating a midlife crisis is to build a more resilient, more authentic sense of purpose. A purpose that comes from within, not from a business card. This is about finding what truly matters to you, beyond money and status. Maybe it's creativity, the joy of painting, writing, or making music, not for profit, but for the sheer act of creation itself. Maybe it's connection deepening your relationships with your loved ones, not as a role you play, but as a genuine, present human being. Maybe it's contribution finding a way to serve your community, to mentor someone, to leave the world a little better than you found it, in ways that don't show up on a performance review. This new purpose is often quieter and less glamorous than the goals of our youth. It's not about conquering the world. It's about inhabiting your own life more fully. It's about finding meaning in the process, not just the outcome. It's the difference between climbing a ladder and tending a garden. One is about getting to the top. The other is about nurturing something and watching it grow. So if you're in the throes of this, feeling lost and miserable despite having everything, know that you're not broken. You're waking up. The death of the plan is not the end of your life. It's the end of a life that was never truly yours. It's an invitation to stop performing and start living. It's a chance to finally write your own script for an audience of one, yourself. It's the most difficult and most rewarding work you will ever do. Thanks so much for watching. If this resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more content about navigating the big questions of life. Let me know in the comments what the death of your plan felt like. See you next time